Let me ask you something. When you make a promise to yourself, do you keep it? Not to your boss, not to your family, not to the crowd, to you. Do you keep your word to yourself? Because here's a truth that very few people understand. Your entire life is built on the promises you keep, or the ones you keep breaking. Every time you say, I'll wake up early, but hit snooze. Every time you say, I'll start today, but wait until tomorrow. Every time you say, this time I'll follow through, but don't, you're not just delaying your goals, you're weakening your identity. Confidence isn't something you find, it's something you earn, by proving to yourself that you do what you say. Because the greatest respect doesn't come from others. It comes from looking in the mirror and liking who you see. That's the power of a promise kept in private. That's how you build trust. That's how you rebuild belief. That's how you change your life. And the best part? You don't need to do everything today. You just need to keep one promise to yourself. One walk, one page, one decision. So if you're ready to reclaim your self-respect, if you're tired of waiting for permission, if you're done negotiating with procrastination, then this message is for you. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear could be the first promise you finally keep. The mirror test. What happens when you look yourself in the eye? Let me tell you something I've learned after years of studying success, failure, discipline, and personal change. The toughest person you'll ever have to face is the one staring back at you in the mirror. It's not the critics, it's not your competitors, it's not your past, your parents, or your problems. It's you, because at the end of the day, when the world gets quiet and there's no one left to impress, no show left to perform, it's just you and your reflection. Now here's the question. When you look yourself in the eye, are you proud of what you see? Not perfect, not flawless, but proud. See, life has this funny way of revealing the truth, not by what you say, but by what you do. And the mirror doesn't lie. It remembers the promise you made to wake up early, and the choice you made to sleep in. It remembers the goal you said mattered, and the excuses you gave instead. It remembers every time you said, I'll change, but didn't. And here's the real danger. The more promises you break with yourself, the harder it becomes to believe anything you say. That's not just about discipline. That's identity. Because you don't become confident by chance. You become confident by credibility. And credibility starts with you. You see, every kept promise, no matter how small, is a vote of belief. A vote for the person you're becoming. A vote for self-respect. A vote for strength. But every broken promise, that's a chip away at your confidence. It's a quiet whisper that says, maybe I'm not who I said I was. And over time, those whispers become a story. A story you tell yourself about why you can't, why you're not ready, why it'll never work out for you. But here's the good news. That story isn't written in stone. It's written in habits. And habits can change. You don't need to rebuild your entire life today. You just need to win one mirror test. One moment of honesty. One promise kept. Start small. Start simple. Say you'll do 5 push-ups, and do them. Say you'll read 5 pages, and read them. Say you'll wake up at 6, and wake up. Because the goal isn't perfection. The goal is integrity. And integrity isn't about the world watching. It's about what you see when you watch yourself. So the next time you stand in front of the mirror, don't just check your hair or fix your tie. Ask a deeper question. Am I proud of how I showed up today? Did I honor my word? Did I keep the promise I made to myself? Did I move 1 inch closer to who I said I want to become? And if the answer is no, don't hide. Don't lie. Decide. Decide that today is the last day you walk away from your reflection with regret. Decide that from now on you'll be the kind of person you can believe in. Decide that every time you look in that mirror, it won't be shame that shows up. It'll be strength. Because here's the truth. Your life will never rise higher than your relationship with that person in the mirror. So start today. Make one promise. Keep it. Then do it again tomorrow. And before long, you'll look yourself in the eye and say, I trust you now. I believe you. And that, my friend, is the beginning of unstoppable. Micro promises, massive power. Now let's get something straight. You don't need to move mountains to change your life. You just need to move yourself. One small promise at a time. You see, too many people think change has to be dramatic. They wait for some big breakthrough, some massive inspiration. They think they need to climb Everest on day 1. But here's the truth. It's not the big promises that change your life. It's the small ones, the micro ones, the ones nobody else sees. But you know, let me tell you, success is not one giant leap. It's 1,000 little steps in the right direction. It's saying, I'll drink 1 more glass of water today, and actually doing it. It's saying, I'll stretch for 5 minutes, and following through. It's saying, I'll write one paragraph, and not quitting until it's done. Those might not sound like much to the crowd, but to your mind, your character, your future, they mean everything. Why? Because every micro-promise you keep whispers something powerful. I do what I say. And when you stack enough of those promises, day after day, they don't just change your schedule, they change your story. Now let me ask you, would you trust a friend who broke every promise they made to you? Of course not. So how can you expect to trust yourself? If every time you say, I'll start today, you delay. Every time you say, just 5 minutes, you scroll instead. You can't build confidence in a storm of broken intentions. But you can build it one drop of discipline at a time. And here's the kicker. The smaller the promise, the easier it is to keep. And the more often you keep it, the stronger you get. See, motivation is great, but it comes and goes. You can't rely on motivation to show up for you every morning. But a kept promise, a habit of follow-through, that sticks, that stays, that builds. Don't aim for 100 changes at once. Just aim for one promise kept today. Start with one healthy choice, one focused hour, one intentional, yes, one powerful no. That's how you train your willpower. That's how you earn your self-respect. That's how you prepare for the bigger battles ahead, by winning the small ones now. Because here's what most people don't realize. The person who can keep a small promise can be trusted with a big one. You want more responsibility? Prove you can manage 5 minutes without distraction. You want more success? Prove you can finish the task you said you'd start. You want to lead others? Prove you can lead yourself. Micro-promises are your training ground. They're your private boot camp. And every time you complete one, you get stronger. Not because it changes the world, but because it changes you. So don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait until Monday, or next month, or New Year's. Just start. Start with something so small it's almost impossible to fail. Then keep the promise. Then do it again, and again. That's how power is built. That's how belief is earned. That's how confidence becomes who you are. One micro-promise, one massive shift. You ready? Then choose one right now, and keep it. You'll be amazed at what happens next. Broken promises create broken belief. Let me say this as clearly as I can. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you break a piece of your belief. Not your talent, not your dreams, your belief. And belief, my friend, is the engine. It's the fuel. It's the difference between starting strong and finishing well, or never even getting off the ground. You see, the real damage of a broken promise isn't in the missed workout, or the snoozed alarm, or the skipped journal entry. The real damage is what happens inside. It's what gets eroded. It's what gets rewritten in your identity. Let me explain. When you say, I'll do it, and you don't, your brain takes notes. When you say, this time I'm serious, but nothing changes, your confidence remembers, and soon your inner voice, instead of cheering you on, starts whispering things like, you always say that, you're not that type of person. Why even bother trying? And just like that, a small broken promise becomes a big belief problem. Now here's something most people never consider. When you stop trusting yourself, you stop trying. Not because the goal is impossible, but because you don't believe you are capable of reaching it. It's not lack of potential, it's lack of proof. And here's the truth. You are always building evidence. Every action is a vote. Every follow-through is a deposit. Every excuse is a withdrawal. So what kind of evidence are you building? Because let me tell you, you don't get belief for free. You earn it. Just like respect, just like trust, just like results. And here's the tragedy. Most people are walking around not because they're lazy or unmotivated, but because deep down they don't believe they can follow through. They've made so many broken promises to themselves. They've stopped believing anything they say. So what's the solution? Do you need a new journal? A new gym? A new guru? No. You need one small promise, and you need to keep it. That's how belief is rebuilt. Not by shouting affirmations into the mirror, but by showing up and proving to yourself that this time, it's different. Start small. Start honest. Don't say you'll write a book. Say you'll write one sentence. Don't say you'll run 5 miles. Say you'll lace up your shoes and walk around the block. Don't say you'll transform your life. Say you'll start today, and mean it. Because here's the good news. Just as broken promises create broken belief, kept promises create unstoppable belief. Belief that says, yes, I can. Belief that says, yes, I will. Belief that says, I'm not the same person I used to be. I keep my word now. And when that belief takes root, you'll stop negotiating with excuses. You'll stop waiting for the perfect moment. You'll stop doubting your ability to follow through. Because now you'll have evidence. So if you've been in a cycle of false starts, if you've been telling yourself, I just can't stay consistent, it's time to break that pattern. Not with a grand gesture, but with a kept promise. Just one, today. Because one promise kept becomes one belief restored. And that, my friend, is how everything changes. Self-trust is earned. And it starts today. There's something I want you to understand. Something that separates those who grow from those who stay stuck. Self-trust is not automatic. It's not inherited. It's earned. You don't wake up one day with unshakable belief in yourself. You build it, step by step, promise by promise, decision by decision. And the good news? You can start earning it today. Let's get real for a moment. If you don't trust yourself, you won't lead yourself. And if you can't lead yourself, nothing else in your life will run right for long. You'll hesitate. You'll overthink. You'll talk yourself out of the very things that could change everything. See, life doesn't respond to your wishes. It responds to your patterns. And if your pattern has been inconsistency, if your pattern has been broken promises, then your self-trust is running on fumes. But here's the powerful truth. You can rebuild that trust, one small act at a time. You don't need to climb the mountain today. You just need to show up today. Keep the promise today. Push past the excuse today. That's how it starts. Because self-trust isn't built in the moments when everything is going right. It's built in the moments when you feel tired and still show up. When you feel overwhelmed and still take one step. When you feel doubt, but choose to keep your word anyway. Those are the moments that count. And you know why? Because those moments prove to your mind, I don't quit just because I don't feel like it. I'm the kind of person who follows through. I trust me now. Think of self-trust like a bank account. Every time you keep a promise, you make a deposit. Every time you break one, you make a withdrawal. And if your balance is low, you're not broken. You're just in overdraft. So what do? You start depositing. Daily. You say you'll do 5 push-ups. Do them. You say you'll drink more water. Drink it. You say you'll write for 10 minutes. Write. No fanfare, no audience. Just you, doing exactly what you said you would. And the more you do it, the more you'll feel something powerful begin to return. Belief, credibility, strength. Because here's what most people miss. You can't fake self-trust. You either earn it, or you don't have it. But once you do earn it, you stop second-guessing. You stop negotiating with your lower self. You stop asking the world for permission. Because now you've given it to yourself. Self-trust is the foundation for discipline, confidence, leadership, peace of mind. All of it. Without it, life feels like a constant restart. With it, everything gets lighter. Not easier, but lighter. Because now you believe you'll actually follow through. So don't wait until Monday. Don't wait for a new year. Don't wait until you feel better. Start earning your trust back. Today. Pick one thing, one micro-promise. Do it. Then do it again tomorrow. And the next day. And before long you won't just be someone with big goals. You'll be someone who keeps their word. And that, my friend, is a person the world can't stop. Discipline is the evidence of self-respect. Let's settle something right now. Discipline isn't punishment. Discipline is proof. It's the evidence that you respect yourself enough to follow through. Most people misunderstand this. They think discipline is something you suffer through, something you force yourself to do. But the truth is, discipline is love. It's self-love in action. You see, when you respect something, you protect it. You care for it. You take it seriously. And when you respect yourself, you do the same. You set standards. You draw lines. You stop giving yourself permission to sabotage your own potential. That's where discipline comes in. Discipline is how you tell yourself, I matter. I'm not going to let myself down anymore. I said I'd do it, and I'm doing it. Not for them, for me. Now listen carefully. If you've been struggling with consistency, if you've been breaking your own promises, you don't have a discipline problem. You have a respect problem. Because when you truly respect yourself, your time, your word, your future, you stop entertaining the habits that disrespect it. You stop snoozing your potential. You stop negotiating with laziness. You stop giving in to the voice that says, just skip it today. Why? Because now you understand, every act of discipline is a declaration, I value me. See, other people can cheer you on. They can support you. They can clap for your wins. But only you can prove to yourself that you're worth showing up for. Let me give you something practical here. Discipline is not about motivation. It's about movement. It's not about hype. It's about habit. It's not about how you feel. It's about what you do despite how you feel. You don't have to feel amazing to keep your promise. You don't have to be perfect to follow through. You just have to decide, I respect myself enough to do what I said I'd do. Do that once, and you'll feel better. Do it for a week, and you'll build momentum. Do it for a month, and you'll feel unstoppable. And that's when everything starts to change. You stop waiting for discipline to show up, because now you've become a disciplined person. Not someone who dabbles, not someone who starts and stops, but someone who finishes. Someone who shows up. Someone who lives in alignment with what they say matters. And here's the best part. Discipline spills over. When you start showing up for your body, your mind gets sharper. When you start managing your time, your relationships improve. When you stop making excuses, your confidence goes through the roof. All because you decided, I am worthy of my own respect. That's the root of it all. Not motivation, not talent, not pressure from the outside. Self-respect, and the evidence. It's not in your words. It's not in your intentions. It's in your discipline, your actions, your follow-through. So if you're ready to turn your life around, don't start with motivation. Start with respect, and prove it, with discipline. Today. Private victories come before public success. Let's get this straight. You don't get to win in public until you've learned how to win in private. Everybody wants the spotlight, the stage, the recognition, the applause. But what most people forget is this. The world only claps for what it can see. But real success is built in the hours it can't see. Public success is just the tip of the iceberg. But private victory, that's the base. That's the foundation. That's what keeps it standing when the pressure rises. You want to know who someone really is? Don't watch them in front of a crowd. Watch what they do when no one's watching. Do they wake up when they said they would? Do they train when it's inconvenient? Do they study when distractions come calling? Do they show up when the motivation runs out? That's where character is forged. That's where self-respect is built. That's where success begins. In the quiet. Let me tell you, I've seen people try to skip this part. They want the results, but they don't want the routine. They want the spotlight, but they don't want the sweat. But let me warn you, if you win in public before you've earned it in private, it won't last. You won't have the habits to sustain it. You won't have the mindset to protect it. And worst of all, you'll know you didn't really earn it. That's a hollow kind of success. That's the success that makes you look good on the outside, but feel weak on the inside. And trust me, you don't want that. So what do? You shift your focus. You stop chasing the crowd, and you start chasing your craft. You win your mornings before you win your market. You manage your emotions before you manage a team. You discipline your schedule before you demand results. Because here's the secret. Private victory builds public confidence. You walk into a room differently when you've kept your word in the dark. You speak differently when your habits back your message. You lead differently when your character's been tested in silence. And the beautiful part is this. Private victory is always available, right now. Today. No audience needed. No permission required. You don't need the world to notice you. You just need to notice yourself. To rise when you said you would. To follow through on what you committed to. To finish the workout no one clapped for. To read the chapter no one posted about. Because when you stack enough of those private wins, you become someone the world starts to notice anyway. That's not ego. That's alignment. That's integrity. You want public success. Earn it in the dark. Build it in the quiet. Protect it with your discipline. Because the truth is, by the time the world sees you succeed, you've already won. And you won. Long before the spotlight ever found you. Raise your standard and protect it. Let me tell you something that'll change your life if you let it. You don't get what you want, you get what you accept. And what you accept, that's your standard. See, your standard is the baseline for your behavior. It's not the dream you talk about. It's the level you refuse to fall below. And here's the hard truth. If your life isn't where you want it to be, you don't need a bigger goal. You need a higher standard. Because goals inspire you, but standards define you. You may want to get fit, but if your standard is, I skip workouts when I'm tired, guess what? That standard will win. You may want to grow your business, but if your standard is, I only take action when I feel like it, you're going to stall out again and again. Why? Because your standard sets your floor. It's the minimum you allow, and the world doesn't respond to your ambition. It responds to your consistency. Let me give you something practical. Your standard is what you tolerate in your daily decisions, what you tolerate in your work ethic, what you tolerate in your nutrition, what you tolerate in your relationships, what you tolerate in your thinking. Raise the standard, and the outcome must follow. But here's the catch most people miss. Once you raise your standard, you've got to protect it. Because life will test you. Comfort will tempt you. Old habits will try to sneak back in like they never left. And if you don't protect your standard with discipline, focus and boundaries, you'll lower it without even realizing it. You'll start saying, well, just this once. I've been good lately. No one's watching. And with every little compromise, you chip away at the edge you worked so hard to build. That's why you've got to be ruthless about protecting the standard you set. You protect it with systems, not just willpower. You protect it by who you spend time with. Because people are contagious. You protect it by reviewing your behaviors, not just your beliefs. Remember, you don't rise to the level of your potential. You fall to the level of your standard. So if you're tired of falling short, stop chasing the next motivation boost and start upgrading your minimums. Make excellence your baseline. Make effort your norm. Make discipline your identity. And when it gets tough, and it will, remind yourself, I don't lower my standard to match the mood. I raise my mood to match the mission. Because that's how real progress is made. Not just by setting goals, but by setting a line in the sand and saying, this is who I am now, and I will not go back. So here's your challenge. Pick one area of your life. Raise your standard. Decide what's no longer acceptable. Then protect it like your future depends on it. Because it does. Build the habit of follow-through. You want to know the real difference between the people who start strong and the people who finish strong. Follow-through. Not talent. Not luck. Not even motivation. It's the habit. The muscle. Of doing what you said you would do. Long after the mood you set it in has faded away. Let me be real with you. Starting is easy. Planning is exciting. Announcing your intentions? That's popular. But finishing? Following through? That's rare. That's powerful. That's where winners are made. You see, the world is full of starters. People who begin books they never finish. Workouts they never complete. Goals they never reach. Not because they couldn't, but because they didn't keep going. They didn't follow through. And if that's been your pattern, starting, stopping, restarting, I've got good news. You don't need to be more talented. You don't need to be more gifted. You need to build one habit: follow through. Now let's break this down. Follow through is a decision muscle. And like any muscle, it grows through use. It starts small. You say you'll get up at 6. Do it. You say you'll walk 10 minutes. Walk. You say you'll send that email. Send it. Not when you feel like it. Not when the mood is right. When you said you would. Because the goal isn't just finishing the task. The goal is becoming the kind of person who finishes. That's identity. That's power. That's a person others trust. And more importantly, a person who trusts themselves. Now here's what's sneaky. Most people think follow through is about energy. It's not. It's about structure. It's about training. If you leave your commitment to chance, if you leave it to your feelings, if you rely on willpower alone, you'll lose the battle by lunch. But when you build a system, when you calendar your priorities, when you create boundaries, when you commit to a minimum standard, you take emotion out of the equation and replace it with execution. And every time you follow through, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, you cast a vote for the person you're becoming. You reinforce your self-trust. You multiply your confidence. You create momentum. That's why follow-through is compound power. Each time you do it, it gets a little easier, a little more automatic, a little more like you. Let me be clear. You don't need to be perfect. You will miss sometimes. That's part of it. But here's the rule. Never miss twice. Miss once, life happens. Miss twice, now you're starting a new habit. The wrong one. So when you slip, don't spiral. Recommit, reset, realign. Because the power is not in starting over. The power is in not stopping for too long. So what's the challenge? Simple. Start and finish something. Today. Doesn't have to be big. Just something you said you would do. Do it not because it's fun, not because it's convenient, but because you're training yourself to finish. That's the mark of leadership. That's the root of self-respect. That's the key to your next level. You want results that last? Don't just start strong. Build the habit of finishing what you start. Build the habit of follow-through. When you slip, recommit, don't retreat. Let me tell you something we all need to hear. You're gonna slip. That's not a guess. That's not a maybe. That's reality. You're gonna miss a workout. You're gonna hit snooze. You're gonna break a promise. You're gonna fall short, and that doesn't make you a failure. It makes you human. But what matters most isn't that you slipped. It's what you do after. Because listen closely. A slip doesn't ruin you. But retreating from your commitment will. See, most people don't fail from one missed day. They fail because they miss one. Then two. Then say, well, I've already fallen off. might as well quit. They turn a stumble into a spiral, a mistake into a mindset, and suddenly they're back at square one, not because they had to be, but because they chose not to fight back. Here's the better way. Don't retreat. Recommit. You missed a day. Get back on track today. You broke the promise? Make it again. Stronger, clearer, and more determined than before. Why? Because when you recommit, you reclaim your momentum. You interrupt the pattern of failure with the power of decision. You say, yes, I slipped, but I'm not staying down. Yes, I failed, but I'm not finished. Yes, I broke a promise, but I am a promise keeper, and I'll prove it now. That's the mindset of a leader. That's the muscle of resilience. That's how you protect your progress. Now let's be honest. The ego hates recommitting. The ego says, it's embarrassing to admit I messed up. But let me tell you, it's not weakness to recommit. It's strength. The real weakness is pretending the slip didn't happen and watching your standards slowly erode. So what do strong people do? They confront the slip. They learn from it. They don't make excuses. They make adjustments. They ask, what triggered this slip? What system broke down? What can I do differently next time? And then they move forward because they understand this truth. One slip doesn't erase your progress, but quitting does. So if you're listening right now and you've fallen off track, you haven't lost. You haven't ruined it. You're not too far gone, but you do have a choice to make. Right now, will you retreat back into old patterns, or will you recommit to the standard you set? You don't need to start over. You need to start again, with wisdom, humility, and fire in your gut. You've got the scars now. That's okay. Wear them as reminders, not regrets. Because the people who win in life aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who refuse to stay down. So stand up, recommit, and finish what you started. Keep one promise. Watch your life transform. Let me ask you something simple. What if everything you've been looking for starts with just one promise? Not 10, not 100, just one. See, we tend to complicate transformation. We stack goals. We chase perfection. We try to fix everything at once. Our body, our money, our habits, our future, and end up fixing nothing. Why? Because complexity overwhelms action. But simplicity builds momentum. And here's the truth. One kept promise has the power to shift your identity. Not because it changes the world, but because it changes you. It says to your mind, I'm no longer the person who talks. I'm the person who does. I'm no longer the person who breaks promises. I'm the person who keeps them. That's how confidence is built. That's how self-respect is restored. That's how lives are transformed. Not overnight, but over time, one promise at a time. Let me give it to you. Plain. Keep one promise. Repeat it daily, and you'll become a different person. Because when you keep one promise, something amazing happens. You begin to trust your own voice again. You stop hesitating. You stop shrinking your dreams. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You begin to feel alignment, that beautiful state where your words match your actions and your intentions match your execution. And guess what? People notice. Doors open. Opportunities find their way to you. Not because you're lucky, but because you've become someone who can be trusted. And it all starts with one promise. Now listen, I'm not talking about a grand gesture. I'm talking about something you can win at daily. 10 pages a day, 15 minutes of movement. No phone for the first hour. One healthy meal. One hard truth told. One act of courage. One morning where you rise instead of rationalize. That's it. Pick one. Keep it. Guard it. Then watch the ripple begin. Because here's the secret. You don't need a new plan. You need a new pattern. A pattern of victory. A pattern of showing up. A pattern of keeping your word. Especially to yourself. That's where transformation begins. So if you've been stuck, if you've been starting and stopping, if you've been watching your potential gather dust, today is the day, not to do everything, but to do something. Something that says, this is who I am now. I finish what I start. Keep that promise. Then another, and another. And if you do that long enough, you won't just have better habits. You'll have a new life. So I'll leave you with this. You're one promise away from the beginning of your breakthrough. Make it count, and don't break it. Because the person you become is waiting on the other side. Your life is built on the promises you keep. At the end of it all, let's bring it home. Your life, not just your goals, not just your image, is built on the promises you keep, not the ones you make in excitement, not the ones you write down and forget, not the ones you announce to the world and abandon in private. I'm talking about the ones you honor, the ones you protect, the ones you keep, especially when no one's watching. Because in the quiet moments when you rise on time, when you show up tired, when you finish the work no one clapped for, that's when your character is being carved. That's when your future is being written. That's when your real power is being born. You want confidence? Keep a promise. You want self-respect? Keep another. You want a better life, financially, emotionally, physically, spiritually? Then stop looking outside. Start looking at the promises you make and the ones you break. Because if you keep saying you'll change but don't, that becomes who you are. But if you say, I'll do it, and you do, even in the smallest way, that becomes who you are too. You see, the path to a better life isn't paved in motivation. It's paved in moments. Tiny moments of decision. Moments where you either lean back into comfort or step forward into discipline. And I'll tell you, you don't need to change your whole life today. You just need to keep one promise. Then another, and another. You do that long enough, and you won't have to chase confidence. It will live in you, because you'll know who you are. You'll know what you're made of. So let this be your reminder. You are not the promises you've broken. You are not your past patterns. You are what you decide to become from this moment forward. Decide to become trustworthy to yourself. Decide to become disciplined in private. Decide to become powerful by honoring your word. Because one promise can spark belief, 10 can build identity, and a life of promise keeping, that creates legacy. So what now? Start. Start with one commitment, one action, one decision to raise your standard and live by it. Because the future belongs to the person who keeps showing up, not for the applause, but for the promise. And if that person is you, then your best days aren't behind you. They're just getting started.